The frame that remembered. He found the frame in a charity shop on a wet Tuesday, the kind of day when everything looks a little more threadbare than it should. It sat on a low shelf among chipped vases and tarnished cutlery, its gilt worn to a tired brass. Victorian, ornate, heavier than expected. Carved roses, cherubs, a faint inscription rubbed to nothing. It was empty. He bought it because it felt like it had once mattered. At home, he slipped a photograph of his niece into it and set it in the spare room. For a few days, nothing happened. It began as a momentary wrongness. Passing the room at dusk, he thought the colours looked muted, as if the picture were being drained. When he switched the light on, everything returned to normal. He frowned. Old frames often had residue, old ink, a film from whatever had been inside before. He cleaned the glass thoroughly, polished it until it squeaked, held it up to the window to check for streaks. Perfectly clear. But the next evening, in the same low light, the wrong image flickered again. Faint Victorian shapes behind the glass, a darker background, the suggestion of stiff clothing. He tried to photograph it. The camera showed only his niece's bright smile. So he began to sketch what he saw. Over the next week, the low-light version grew clearer. A parlour interior, a man and woman posed stiffly, a small child between them unnaturally still, eyes that seemed painted open. He recognised the style. Victorian post-mortem photography. He searched online, then in books, then in the library's brittle archives, and there it was, a reproduction in a book about mourning customs. The Whitcomb family, 1883. No commentary, just a name and a year. But the faces were unmistakable, the same ones he had been sketching. He dug deeper into newspaper archives. The story emerged in fragments. Clara Whitcomb, aged 3, died of scarlet fever. Her parents, long struggling to conceive, were devastated. Mrs. Whitcomb died 6 months later of grief. Mr. Whitcomb was found the following winter after an overdose. No note, no surviving relatives. The memorial photograph clutched to his chest. The house sold at auction, contents dispersed. Nothing sensational, just a family undone by loss. He printed a clean reproduction of the photograph. When he placed it in the frame, something subtle shifted. The gilt brightened, the carving sharpened, the glass cleared. The whole frame seemed to regain its original dignity. Not magic, not spectacle, just a quiet sense of rightness. The frame was whole again. A few nights later, he saw a movement in the glass. Not the Victorian tableau, not the dead child, but the family, alive. The father's arm around the mother holding the child who wriggled and reached, all three smiling, not at the camera, but at him. A moment that had never existed in life. A moment grief had stolen from them. They faded gently, like breath on cold glass. A thank you. He kept the frame, not out of fear, out of respect. He placed it in the spare room, a quiet space he rarely entered, and left it there, undisturbed. The frame and the photograph belonged together. Separating them now felt unthinkable, as if it would reopen a wound more than a century old. Sometimes, passing the doorway, he felt a faint chill, not unpleasant, just a reminder. Some grief, once acknowledged, deserves to rest.